Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Father Christmas, which was directed back in 1991 by Dave Unwin, was based on the book by the same name by Raymond Briggs, who also penned in The Snowman and the Snow Dog, and The Polar Bear, and also starred the late great British comedian Mel Smith as the voice of the titular character Father Christmas. Now, I caught this Christmas special back then when I was in England 2 years ago, obviously on television, and I enjoyed every single moment of it. And I even caught it again recently on YouTube, and it was just still an absolutely enjoyable British Christmas special. It was just that awesome in every single way. And this came from the same person who penned in The Snowman, The Polar Bear, and The Snowman and the Snow Dog. Now, it had a certain charm to it. Now, just like how Rankin Bass's Christmas specials had a certain charm to American audiences, well, generally speaking, Raymond Briggs's Christmas works has a certain charm that also appeals to not only the British audiences, but probably to a lot of other people who've watched these works, though mostly and generally the British audiences. So that's basically my comparison. So, what did I think about Father Christmas? Well, in terms of its story, this has to be pretty much very unique because while we see that at times in Christmas specials, Santa Claus is mainly a supporting character, this incarnation of Santa Claus is actually very interesting. We get to see what he does on his free time. We get to see him travel around the world, specifically to Scotland, to Las Vegas, and then to other parts of the world before he comes back to his native, well, in this case, native Great Britain, specifically somewhere in London, or somewhere in England in that case. And then he manages to get his house flooded by letters from children all around the world. And there's also one funny line that he says. He says, Santa Claus, Père Noël, and all those other names, they can just call me Father Christmas. And I definitely chuckled, which is also helped by the great writing, which has a lot, a lot of great dialogue and great lines coming from Father Christmas himself. And the animation, just like its predecessors, the Snowman and the Polar Bear, each of them just has that sort of muted, beautiful, and very innocent looking type of design to it. Almost like you're watching an animated illustrated storybook come to life before your very eyes that's usually directed towards children and has a certain charm, and that doesn't even talk down to them. This animation never cuts corners. It never has any glitches or any type of shortcomings whatsoever. It's polished, it's gorgeous, it's sweet to look at, and it has a certain pastel-like looking effect to it. It is, simply put, gorgeous all around. Everything about it is gorgeous. The character designs are, simply put, adorable. And even the background designs are just gorgeous all around. Even though this is not like a huge extravaganza of visual, even though it's not totally a visual masterpiece, it manages to convey the simplicity and the beauty of what this type of animation style can do. It really feels like watching an illustrated storybook come to life and just fill the screen with its wonderfully vibrant and very muted and very simple approach. And it really leaves you charmed by it. And not to mention, everything about it is just so fluid. And then we get to the music. While the background music is something that's worth writing home about, and it's actually really great, the biggest highlight in terms of the music definitely has to be To Another Bloomin' Christmas, sung by Father Christmas himself, and it was also sung as the reprise from the credits, sung by some of the children, and also by Mel Smith. Now, he really made this song just spectacular to listen to the point where it's actually quite great to even listen to the song throughout the holidays. And it's absolutely a blast. To Another Blooming Christmas is, I would say, the biggest highlight of this Christmas special. And then we get to the characters. Talking about the characters is like talking about Father Christmas in this incarnation. While we usually see Santa Claus as a very jolly, happy go lucky person who says ho 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 a lot, this incarnation of Father Christmas is actually very distinct and very unique. And since this is made in Britain, he's sort of given a sort of Cockney accent and is kind of like he acts a little bit like a rogue, though he still keeps his warm, fuzzy, and very sweet nature. Though at times he does act a little bit like one of those Cockney gents that you see, and even like talks like one, albeit Alfred P. Doolittle from My Fair Lady. So it's actually quite interesting to see that this incarnation of Santa Claus is a lot of fun to watch, and especially in the hijinks he gets himself into. And especially when kids would say, "Hey, isn't that Santa Claus?" And then he just kind of mumbles about saying, "Oh, you shouldn't even notice me yet, kid." It's just so fun watching this character on screen. And what's also interesting about it is this incarnation of Santa Claus also has a cat and a dog, and also knows how to build his own transportation. Now that is just cool. And speaking about the acting, Mel Smith gave such a memorable and very, very endearing portrayal of Father Christmas, helped by his gruff Cockney tone that has a hint of mischievousness and also that of a sort of warm, fuzzy feeling whenever you listen to him speak. And I certainly had that warm, fuzzy feeling, and I definitely enjoyed his performance. So overall, Father Christmas is such an experience. And I have to say that for 26 minutes, it definitely gave me a lot to enjoy. And for that, I give this Christmas special a well deserved 5 out of 5 stars. This is definitely enjoyable. This is definitely a must watch when it comes to Christmas specials. This is so up there with other classic Christmas specials like The Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, what do you call this? What was that again? The Year Without a Santa Claus, and even The Little Drummer Boy. Now, even though I've reviewed The Year Without a Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I hope that next year I get to review Frosty the Snowman and its sequel, and not to mention The Little Drummer Boy. But these are all reviews planned for next Christmas, so I hope to get into those. So, like I said, Father Christmas, go check it out. It's on YouTube, and I'm sure that you're all going to enjoy it. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in later where I review Tom and Jerry, the Nutcracker Tale. So until then, see you later, everybody.